Welcome to the graduate student orientation. This is for all the nutrition and integrative physiology graduate students, masters, and PhD students that are just entering our program right now. My name is Dr. Michael Ormsby. I am the graduate program director, and I will serve as sort of the key person for graduate student issues along the way throughout your time here at FSU. I've been here for 11, going on 12 years. I teach in the exercise physiology and nutrition area. I'm excited to today, I was hoping to do this in person, but we'll do it this way. Welcome everybody and just sort of orient you to the landscape of the department. This way you're gonna have to watch this online, which is okay, but make sure you reach out to the key people that you'll see in this presentation if you do have questions along the way. One thing is, like any good program, while we are excellent, it is what you make of it. So while you're here, you have a choice. You can sort of get through the program and graduate, or you can really invest in the program. I usually say it like this: are you in the Department of Nutrition and Integrative Physiology, or are you into the Department of Nutrition and Integrative Physiology? And that simple difference of being into this degree is all the difference in the world. And I think that if you're into this stuff, it's really going to be fun. You're going to have a great ride along the way with a lot of really good mentorship, research, courses, and resources for you. Now, if we were live, one of the things that I like to show is the department video. This video is on our website, so make sure you're familiar with our website, and you can see this on your own. So it's the Nutrition Integrative Physiology promotional video. It's excellent. It's fun to share. If you guys are on social media, be sure to post this up and talk about how excited you are to be in our program, just like we are to have you join us for these next few years. But this video is really good. You can see some of the faculty and former students involved in everything that's going on. All right. One thing about our department is that we are actually spread out in 4 different buildings on campus. Those of you who have been here before or are familiar with the campus layout know that. But if you're brand new, this can be a little bit confusing. And so as I introduce the faculty, you'll see that I'll put a location on there: Sandals Building, the William Johnston Building. Those two are very close to each other. And then across campus, we have the Biomedical Research Facility, which is where a lot of the folks who work with animals are doing their research. And then the Institute of Sports Sciences and Medicine, which is where I'm located, is also across campus, more on the athletics side. But we do have 4 different locations. By and large, most people are in the Sandals Building. The administrators are in the Sandals Building. A lot of people you need for signatures and such will be in the Sandals Building. But we are spread out across these different places. At Sandals, maybe 1 block down is the William Johnston Building, which houses a lot of our labs and some faculty, and then the 2 other facilities that we've got. Now, in our typical schedule, what we were going to do was have an introduction from the department chair, Dr. Chet Ray, but I'll just introduce him when we get to his slide. But he was going to go through a lot of what we were going to get into today. After we go through introductions of the faculty and staff and the program coordinators, we'll talk a little bit about our degrees and just some individual type notes that will be important as you go through our particular program. All right, so that's what we're doing. All right, so let's meet the department chair. I think that's an important step. This is our chair, Dr. Chet Ray. All of this information is freely available on our website. There's actually more information on there, but you can see that he holds many hats, including the chair, as well as the interim Associate Dean of Research and Graduate Studies. So you will need to be familiar with Dr. Ray, and it'd be a good idea to introduce yourself to him, as well as all the other faculty and staff that you're going to see. Some of the research interests are listed here because many of you may or may not be interested in research yet, but you will be. So pay attention to things that the faculty are researching, because that's how you're going to gain experience in a certain area if you choose to make a career out of staying in nutrition and integrative physiology type areas. All right, so that's Dr. Ray. Now let's meet the staff. You have to be intimately familiar with this because everybody I'm about to show you is critically important to you getting through the program. David Parrish is another person that is critical to know. He's our administrative support assistant. He is the face of the department when you come into the main office on the 4th floor of the Sandals building. That's where our main area is. And so that's basically the reception, answer any day-to-day questions, and also course registration issues. David's a wealth of knowledge, so be sure to make sure you get to meet and know Mr. David Parrish. Now, also in the Sandals building, but down in the Associate Dean's Suite, which is on the 2nd floor of Sandals, which is actually the floor that you basically walk into on the Sandals building. You don't walk into the 1st floor, typically you're on the top side walking into the 2nd floor. Tara Hartman is the academic program specialist. She will assist graduate students in a number of different areas, including monitoring progress, all the official files that need to be kept, overseeing graduation clearance, basically knows all the rules and regulations, and Tara is someone that you should get to know well because you will have to go through that office many times. Mary Sue McLemore is the academic support assistant. She helps in that office with Tara. She is involved in admissions. Chances are that you may have emailed with her prior to today. So again, Mary Sue McLemore is a great contact person for everything that has to do with admissions and other areas of student support. All right, so that's the gist of the support staff. Critically important to all of our jobs and including your time here as a student. All right, now let's meet the faculty. We'll go through by area. So first we'll start with the nutrition science faculty. And the reason you're seeing this now as an orientation is that you need to know who you're working with, which is honestly some of the top people in the entire country and sometimes in the entire world in certain areas. And it'd be a real shame to get through this whole program and never really know what your faculty are up to. All right, so here's our nutrition faculty. We'll start with the professors, and then we'll move to associate professors, and then to the first level, so the assistant professors after that. So the first one is Dr. Arjmandi. Dr. Arjmandi is seen here. He's a professor and the director of the Center for Advancing Exercise and Nutrition Research on Aging. We call that SANRA. Dr. Arjmandi has been here for a long time. His office is in the Sandals building on the 4th floor, and his research interests are varied, but have a lot to do with bone and calcium metabolism, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and a lot with functional foods and how they help human health. So that's his primary area. Moving along to Associate Professor Gloria Salazar. Dr. Salazar has an office on the 4th floor of Sandals. She works heavily in vascular aging and its impact on age-related diseases such as atherosclerosis, basically mitochondrial function, cell function, physiology, all with aging is her niche. She's wonderful and someone you should get to know as well. Moving to our assistant professors in nutrition, this is Dr. Stephen Henniger. Dr. Henniger is mostly interested in mineral absorption and status. So you can see here zinc and iron in particular, a lot with inflammation and infection and mineral status, and does work with clinical studies in humans as well as animal models. Right, next we have Dr. Claire Berryman. Dr. Berryman has some work in nutrition interventions to improve body composition. She has done a lot of work with soldiers too, and hypoxia and weight loss, and has a special focus in lipid metabolism and human trials. All right, Dr. Jennifer Steiner is an assistant professor. of nutrition science. Her office is located over at the Biomedical Research Facility, BRF. So she does some animal work in nutrition and exercise physiology. She particularly looks at catabolic conditions, including sepsis and alcoholism, and how they interact with physiological systems. All right, next we have Dr. Ravi Nagpal, and Dr. Nagpal is an assistant professor, and his work is in gut dysbiosis and obesity, the microbiome, hot topic area right now, and a wealth of information on those topics. Next, we have Dr. Lisa Trone. Dr. Trone is our dietetics internship director. She has her office in Sandals. Pardon me, so does Ravi on the previous slide. They both are in Sandals. 20 years of experience in the field of nutrition as an acting dietitian. Some of her interests are in geriatrics, rehabilitation, food service management, but anything to do with a dietetic internship is Dr. Trone's area that you'll want to see her. And she's also the major coordinator for anybody doing the dietetic internship. All right, we'll talk more about those later. Next, nutrition is Ms. Jennifer Farrell. She is program director for didactic program in dietetics and the undergraduate coordinator for that program as well. Her research interests and background are in clinical nutrition, nutrition education, as well as pediatric and early childhood nutrition. And so certainly from the undergraduate perspective or knowing the courses to get the didactic program together at FSU is in her wheelhouse. Next we have Dr. Hyan Meyer. Dr. Meyer has an interest in prevention and management of chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and obesity, particularly with dietary lifestyle modifications. All right, we'll move on to the food science faculty. So if you're here for food science, these are the individuals that you will most likely be spending a lot of time with. First up, we have Dr. Kinchun Rao. Dr. Rao is an associate professor and has an office in the Sandals building on the 4th floor. His research interests are food safety and functionality and modification of food proteins. And someone that you will find again on the Sandals building or in its laboratory, which is also on the 4th floor of the Sandals building. Next up, we have Dr. Prashant Singh. Dr. Singh is an assistant professor of food science. His interests there are food microbiology, food safety, and detection of foodborne pathogens. Next up, our third and last faculty member so far in food science is Dr. Leki Sui. Dr. Sui is an assistant professor of food science and has a special interest in lipid oxidation and antioxidants, plant protein flavor and functionality, and has a lot of experience in controlling the stability of bulk oils and emulsions. All right, now we're going to move to the exercise physiology faculty. First up is Dean of Health and Human Sciences and a professor in our department is Dr. Michael Delp. Dr. Delp's research interests are the effects of aging and exercise training, especially with regard to microgravity. Does a lot of work with space flight and has great experiments going on in that area, particularly with microcirculation as well. All right, next up we have Dr. Robert Hickner. Dr. Hickner is a professor of exercise physiology, and his research interests are listed here that include aging, obesity, exercise, as well as a lot with nitric oxide and blood flow to skeletal muscle and adipose as well. All right, next we have Dr. Lynn Panton. Dr. Panton is in the Sandals building on the 1st floor. I should have mentioned that Dr. Delp is in Sandals, Dr. Hickner is in Sandals, and Dr. Panton is also in Sandals. Dr. Panton is on the 1st floor, and her research interests are the effects of exercise on strength, body composition and physical function in older adults and special populations. There's a lot of work with applied exercise physiology. Next up, we have Dr. Jeong-Soo Kim. Dr. Kim is a professor in exercise physiology, and his research interests are sarcopenia and other muscle wasting diseases and conditions, and basics of skeletal muscle physiology as a whole. Studies kind of cellular all the way through the whole body. And also does some work with exercise and nutrition dietary supplements as well, and has quite a few things going on with Navy research. Next up is me. I'm a professor in our Department of Exercise Science, and I also teach a lot in the nutrition area. My courses are specifically in sports nutrition, undergraduate and graduate level, as well as endocrinology classes. My research interests include training and eating to prevent obesity-related diseases, achieve optimal body composition, and athletic and human performance. We do a lot in our lab at the Institute of Sports Sciences and Medicine on the role of nutrition, supplements, and exercise to sort of optimize health in general, as well as performance. And we use both clinical populations as well as athletes. And I'm located at the ISSM, the building that's across campus at the FSU track facility on the west entrance. All right, Dr. Hyun-Suk Hwang is next up. He's an assistant professor of exercise physiology. Research interests include exercise-induced cardiac sudden death, calcium regulation and oxidative stress, and contraction dysfunction of chronic heart disease. His office and laboratory are located at the Biomedical Research Facility, BRF. All right, next up, we have Dr. Brad Gordon. Dr. Gordon is an assistant professor in exercise physiology. His office is located and lab are located at the BRF. His research interests include understanding the molecular factors that contribute to changes in skeletal muscle mass and function during disease and non-disease states. And he does a lot with in vitro and in vivo models that look at essentially therapeutic mechanisms to treat muscle wasting diseases. Okay, next up we have Dr. Michelle Parvatiar. Dr. Parvatiar is an assistant professor. Her office is located at the Biomedical Research Facility, and her research interests include hereditary cardiomyopathies, heart failure mechanisms, cardioprotection, and is solely in animal and cell-based studies. All right, next we have Dr. Justin Lefevre. Dr. Lefevre is an assistant professor. His office is at the NLab or at the BRF facility, and his research interests include diet and lifestyle effects on erectile dysfunction and CVD risk. And he has multiple models to test all of this, and he does a lot of work with rodent obesity and transgenic mouse models. Dr. Dan Machin is our next faculty member to introduce. He's an assistant professor. Office is located over in BRF, and his research interests include vascular physiology, exercise physiology, and aging in general. Dr. Orlando Latino is assistant professor of exercise physiology. His office and laboratory are located in the William Johnson building, way up on the 4th floor, has a lab up there. And his research interests include heat stress, osmotic stress, and skeletal muscle dysfunction, and does some work too with sepsis-induced myopathy. So in general, he's certainly our heat person, so knowing more about heat tolerance and how that plays a role in many different factors in disease states. Next, we have Dr. Pao Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh is a teaching faculty 1. She teaches a number of classes and has research interests in a few different areas. Her research interests span the the gamut, but includes space flight of microvascular function. She has done some work with effects on aerobic exercise and microvascular function, and she is the director of the Sports Sciences Master's Program and is also the internship director for anyone doing an internship outside of the dietetic internship. Strength and conditioning training and practices is her forte. Happens to be a former world record holder in the deadlift, which is awesome. And she teaches in sports sciences again. So you'll see more from her. She's also the major coordinator for sports sciences. Okay, Dr. Lisa Griffiths is a teaching faculty one, has research interests in cardiometabolic risk factors and episodes of psychosis, exercise and lifestyle interventions, and also social, cultural, and behavioral factors that affect physical health. Dr. Griffiths is one of the major program coordinators for exercise physiology master's students that major in exercise physiology. Okay, next we have Dr. Jason Williams. Dr. Williams is a teaching faculty one, has research interests in applied strength and conditioning, all things related to speed and velocity-based training in that sort of context, has other interests in body composition, tactical training, and coaching. And Dr. Williams serves as the major coordinator for the sports nutrition students that are not doing a dietetic internship. And you'll see his face and contact information a little bit later. Now, also within exercise science is housed our athletic training faculty. We have two fabulous individuals to introduce here. The first one is Dr. Angela Segal, the program director for athletic training education. And her research interests and interests in general include athletic training and sports medicine, therapeutic modalities, and pain management. All right, next we have Michelle Garber. Michelle Garber is the assistant department chair, and she's also the associate program director for athletic training. If you have undergraduate issues or coming up from undergrad to a grad program here, you've certainly worked with her. Her interests include athletic training and sports medicine, therapeutic modalities, and pain management, and is certainly someone to get to know in our exercise science athletic training faculty. All right, so that is all of our faculty. It's a whole bunch of us, so it's important to get to know everybody. Maybe in undergrad you felt like you couldn't talk to the faculty, but in the grad program it's really important because all of your future networking comes from knowing these faculty, and that's a really good step to take. Now, next I want to introduce a student rep that is a position that some of you may maybe even aspire to, but the Congress of Graduate Students College rep is shown here as a doctoral student in food science. And it's someone you can contact if you're interested in all things related to graduate student experience on campus. All right, now what I want to do is take a little bit of time to outline our programs because I think it's important for you to just understand the breadth of what we do offer. And this is for our master's program. So if you're in a PhD program here, we'll talk about that in a minute. For now, we'll talk about our master's degree program. So we have two main headings. One is exercise physiology. The other one is nutrition and food science. Underneath exercise physiology, you can have a concentration or a major in exercise physiology, in sports nutrition, or in sports science. So there's three different areas underneath exercise physiology. I put a note here that the exercise physiology actually offers a BSMS program. So it's basically a 4+1 program. And then sports nutrition is offered with and without a dietetic internship. Just important to know. On our nutrition and food science side, that's the degree that you would earn. There are two areas of study. One is food science, the other one is nutrition science. And then again, nutrition science, it could be with or without a dietetic internship. All right, now I need to introduce you to some people that you need to get to know. The face of each program is listed here. I've mentioned these folks along the way, at least I meant to as I was going through that. But these are the major program coordinators. What we're moving to is a system where if you are in the dietetic internship, Dr. Lisa Trone is your point of contact. She's the key person to know and to communicate with, to organize your program of study, to set up your internships, to make sure everything's running smoothly throughout your entire experience here as a master's student. If you are in nutrition science, not doing the internship, then Dr. Hyan Meyer is your go-to person. She's the individual that you will meet with to do program of study and everything else along the way while you're here in our program. Next up is Dr. Kinchun Rao. If you're a student, master's student here in food science, then Dr. Rao will be your point of contact to create your program of study and go through all of the details for how to be successful in the food science program. If you're here for exercise science and that's where you want to be, this is your program coordinator, your major coordinator, Dr. Lisa Griffiths. She is your point of contact for anything related to your program of study, your course registration, future exams, etc. Now we have sports science, again, underneath the exercise physiology heading, Dr. Payal Ghosh, and Dr. Ghosh is your point of contact for sports sciences. She's also the internship director. So you will work closely with her no matter what program you're in, unless it's a dietetic internship. If you're doing internships in these other areas, Dr. Ghosh is your internship coordinator, and you should speak to her very soon to figure out lining things up, because sometimes it takes some time to get prepared. And last but not least, we have Dr. Jason Williams. Dr. Williams is going to be your point of contact for sports nutrition students that are here and not enrolled in our dietetic internship program. All right, so anything with program of study, course registration will run through Dr. Williams for advice and signatures. These individuals you should know very well. If you are in those programs, you should know who they are. You should be friendly with them. They will be the person who signs off on all of your paperwork at a starting point. And it's really important to get a good relationship with those folks. Okay, now for our master's students, there are essentially two tracks. Coursework only, which is also sometimes called non-thesis, but it's a coursework only track, or there's a thesis track. This slide pertains to coursework only. So all of you, all incoming master students are initially programmed in coursework only, non-thesis route, okay? So all of you will be working with the program coordinators, as you just saw in the previous slide. They should be emailing you this week to set up some times to meet up to get your coursework together. The third point here, program of study, POS, that's filled out with your specific program coordinator. Okay, so you will do that to get a plan together for what you're going to take every semester while you're here. Now, when it comes down to it, successful completion of one of two items needs to happen to ultimately graduate from here, along with getting grades, etc. But a comprehensive examination will occur if you are nutrition science, food science, or sports nutrition. Any of those that are done without the dietetic internship will take a comprehensive exam, which is a 2-hour online exam, about 120 question exam that's taken at the testing center. So that is a comprehensive exam for students in nutrition science, food science, or sports nutrition without the dietetic internship. However, the other side of this is that the practicum or internship will serve this exact purpose. If you are an exercise physiology student, a sports sciences student, or any student enrolled in the dietetic internship program, then your final clearance will be based upon how you do in your internship, right? So once again, you will take a comprehensive exam if you're a nutrition science, food science, or sports nutrition without the DI student, and you will be enrolled in a practicum or internship if you're exercise phys, sports sciences, or any student that's not in the DI program and doesn't qualify here either. Those students will be doing an internship, and your ability to pass that class at a 70% or better for all of these skills will be assessed by the internship directors. So that's scientific knowledge, technical skills, self-evaluation and professional development, communication, key behaviors of professional practice, and professional traits and characteristics. Dr. Pao Ghosh, again, internship director for ex-phys, sports sciences, or any student that's not enrolled in the dietetic internship program, and Dr. Lisa Trone for anybody in the dietetic internship program. Your internship or practicum will be your pinnacle event that we're going to be grading. They're going to be grading in order for you to pass and earn a degree in our program. Okay. And on the other side, the comp exam, again, you have to pass with 70% better, or that's an exam that you take at the testing center. These exams are taken the second week of your final semester that you were enrolled in our program. All right, if you're taking a comp exam, the second week of the final semester that you're enrolled in our program. And the internship is typically set up for the last semester or a combination of the last 2 semesters while you're here. All right, but you have to work with the internship directors to get that all set up, depending on which degree you're in and what area you're in here. All right, now some of you may be thinking, well, I want to do a thesis, I think, as a master's student. So what do I need to do for that? So here are the guidelines for requesting the MS thesis tracking. Again, these resources are all on our Nutrition and Integrative Physiology website. And this is the new handbook for this year. The graduate student handbook is now up online as a resource for you to check out. But these are the rules for getting into a thesis track. So the first one is you have to finish a semester here. You have to finish that first semester, and number 2, you have to be in good academic standing, which means you have to get a 3.0 GPA or better in your first semester in order to even be considered to be a thesis student. After that, so it'll be your second semester, then what you'll look to do is have enough research or related experience to gain the support of a faculty member with graduate faculty status. Okay, so you can check that online and check the profiles and things that I just went through. So that experience would be from volunteering or trying to get involved in a lab of someone that you saw what their research was and you thought it was pretty nice, or something you're interested in. You would want to volunteer to get into that lab for more experience. Number 4, you, the student, will work with the proposed major professor, so that's the one whose lab it is, on a draft of the thesis program of study, which includes securing eligible and willing faculty to serve as committee members. So you need to have committee members as a master's student. There are 3 of them, 3 different individuals to be your committee member. And lastly, you'll work with the major professor for signatures to eventually turn into a program of study that's a thesis route, as opposed to a coursework only. This is driven by your interests also in the faculty member needing help and also willing to oversee a thesis project. If you are interested in a thesis, I highly suggest that you begin talking to faculty that you've just seen soon, very soon, to show your level of interest and have some initial discussions. All right, now for our doctoral degree programs, we offer 2 degree programs. One is exercise physiology, and the other one is human sciences, which is both human nutrition and food science, fall under the human sciences degree. All right, the doctoral program is designed to enable students to achieve mastery in their specialized areas and become independent researchers. It's all geared around research. And the doctoral program emphasizes training of research beyond university and college requirements. And each student works with his or her faculty advisor. You've already spoken to them. If you're a PhD student, you've already spoken to your advisor to create an individualized program of study with your PhD advisor. You also need to find committee members, and there's some different rules and regulations around that, which we'll see. All right, one note, courses and program length may vary depending on the lab that you're in and the coursework that is thought to be best for your future. All right, so here are some of the program guidelines. So supervisory committee, master's, non-thesis, you have 1 program or major coordinator. That person signs off on your program of study. If you're a master's thesis student, which again, you just saw the rules on how that would happen, then you need 3 members on your committee that can be inside or outside of the department. For PhD students, you need 3 members in the department. One of those would be your major professor, so that person plus 2 others, and 1 person outside the department, which is called a university representative. That has to be a tenured professor, so you need to make sure they have that status. It's also important to note that as a master's or a PhD student, there will be annual evaluations for all graduate students. You'll have to, your program coordinator or your thesis advisor or your major professor will do an evaluation on you. The program of study form that we've said a few times already is something that you'll fill out with your major coordinator, your program coordinator, if you're non-thesis route, or with your major professor if you're a master's thesis or a PhD student. MS non-thesis, you need to submit that before the end of the first semester of courses. So work with your program coordinators now to get that started. The MS thesis students have a little more time because you need to get through the first semester and have the grades to do this. And so that would be submitted by the middle of the second semester of courses. And PhD students need to also submit by the middle of the second semester of courses. You will be locked out from signing off for courses if you don't turn this in, so it's a required. All right, let's talk about coursework from the top. So full-time here is 9 hours for all international, out-of-state, and in-state students. Keep in mind that 6 hours is required for federal financial aid to be dispersed. So if you're in that category, keep that in mind for the credits you need to take. And it can include anything that we offer, including lecture courses, directed individual study, which is called DIS courses, could be supervised research, supervised teaching, and seminar, which is something everybody takes the seminar classes. For master's students, you need 1 semester of seminar, which here's the list of what they're called. Your program advisors will have more on this. And PhD students need 3 semesters of the seminar. We have quite a great lineup of speakers each year for this, so that's usually a neat course to be in. Also note that many courses have limits regarding the total number of hours that can count towards the degree. So again, make sure to look at the FSU graduate bulletin and or the FSU handbook and work with your program coordinator or major professor to make sure that all the courses line up and look good for you to be able to graduate. Note that drop add period needs to be completed by Thursday, August 26, 2021. That is an important deadline to make sure you have everything done by then. Any of the departmental forms like the directed individual study forms, et cetera, are online. They require signatures, so you can get all those from your program coordinator or from the lab that you're working in, et cetera. You all are required to maintain good academic standing, which is a 3.0 GPA. What that means is that you can have no single grade below a C- can count towards your degree. So if you get something below a C-, it won't count towards the degree and you'll be forced to retake it. It also will put you in poor academic standing, which you don't want to be in. All right. A little bit of practical information for you. If you haven't done this already, this is the time to look and get your FSU ID card. All right, you can search that on the FSU website. There's a location on campus to go to get that taken care of, and you can do most of that online. You have to go get your picture taken. Make sure you have a university email account all set up. All of you have FSU emails now that end in my.fsu.edu, and those accounts you need to activate. Make sure you register for classes. All right, you'll work with your program coordinators, your major coordinators, and you'll get registered through Student Central once you know what to take. Make sure you get to know the faculty. Again, networking, a lot of really good people, a lot of cool conversations. You never know what you can get just from starting a conversation with somebody. I've got so many stories of students who just took a shot at saying hello and got involved in our research or other faculty members, and ultimately had a career shift or a research shift or just future networking that was really, really helpful to them. One thing to do is to check out the graduate student handbook. Again, this is the 3rd time I've mentioned it, but all the rules are in the graduate student handbook that you'll be required to maintain while you're here for this incoming class. In this PDF that's listed on our website. That's also a link here. Also, the program of study form is online. You can get that from our Health and Human Sciences website. Again, program of study form. And you fill that out with your major coordinator or your major professor if you're a PhD student. Make sure you attend all faculty and guest seminars. Be an active citizen. Be someone who's engaged in what we do. Be into the department. Again, if you don't say hello and try to meet the faculty, you could get through without ever meeting anybody except for the teachers in your class. And that'd be a real shame. Take advantage of your time here. I advise you to dive in instead of having one leg at home or in a different university and here. Be a Knoll, dive in, get used to our environment, and make the best of your time here, be it the master's students or the doctoral students, so 2 or 4 years. Graduate student computer laboratories are kind of all over the place, but the one in Sandals building is in room 202. You're welcome to use that. We have excellent tech support help from 2 individuals. Josh Kukis is the director of our tech group here in our college, and then Arthur is also in our technology gurus. So we have Josh Kukis and Arthur Cooper, great people, and any tech related issues would be in their wheelhouse. All right, lastly, if you're a GA, you will have a mailbox set up in the mail room, which is in the Sandals building in room 409 up on the 4th floor. And then the College of Health and Human Sciences and Nutrition and Integrative Physiology fellowships and scholarships are available. Many of you know about those or talk to me about those, but make sure that you check out the opportunities that exist. They're on the website. You can see if you're eligible and make sure to apply for those. A few other points about some other important information. Assistantship applications are now online. It's no longer a paper form. You will go to this link, which is on our Health and Human Sciences website. If you go to our department, Nutrition and Integrative Physiology, and then click the button for students. In graduate programs, you'll see a button for resources. And in our resources is a whole list of things that can help you. There's a button there that says graduate TA application. You'll want to do that, get your name in the system if you have any interest of being a TA, a teaching assistant in our program for future semesters. All right. It's kind of rolling. You can put your name in each semester, which you need to do, definitely each year. But we will look for the next year on or after, right around that February 1st date. So make sure it's in by no later than February 1st. We offer department scholarships, which you can find online. Remember that you are bound by an ethics and a conduct code here. Not only for like cheating in class, like an honor code, but just an ethics and code of conduct for being a professional in our program, right? You're no longer an undergraduate, you are a member of this community as a graduate student, and you are expected to be responsible and conduct yourself properly. You are also responsible for reading the handbook and following all the policies and procedures that are inside there. All right, for international students, you will want to see Mr. David Parrish in the main office on the 4th floor of Sandals. And please be sure that you're using the most recent version of the International Center's letter for Social Security. Check on your visa statuses, etc. You'll need to see Mr. David Parrish for all of those employment type issues and regulations. I want to make one note here about a different opportunity that's for professional development. Dr. Judy Devine runs this. She's the Senior Associate Dean in the Graduate School in our main building on campus that's all over all the pictures of FSU called Westcott, with the big fountain in front. But Dr. Judy Devine runs a professional development program that you can take, you can get credit for. It looks good on your CV and your resume. It's a couple of credits each semester while you're here. And she brings in speakers and have all kinds of different issues related to development for just general professionals and also for faculty development if you intend to be a faculty member at some point. So check it out. You can probably Google her name and professional development at FSU and you'll get to the right places. I want to point out that this year, the 2021-2022 2022. PI Associate. So PI Associates serve as mentors for TAs. So if you are in a TA and you're going to do the TA training, you'll see this again. Essentially is the mentor for TAs in the department, assists with workshops, conferences, teaching awards. You can reach out to Emmanuel Monhiri, doctoral student in Human Development and Family Sciences, the other department in our College of Health and Human Sciences, if you have questions there. All right, we're going to end with just a couple of slides on special announcements. I want to point out that research opportunities do exist. You should take advantage of talking to the faculty to get involved. Essentially, again, dive in head first, get in someone's lab, get involved, because this is the opportunity to do that. You'll also see chances to get involved in research as a subject in our department. Highly recommend that. And I think it would be really advantageous to be a subject in some of the studies to understand how that part of this works as well. We have a new media specialist in our college. This is Josh Duke. For the PhD students that are watching this, you'll see a link sent out soon, or you should reach out to Josh directly to set up a chance to get your headshot taken for the website. All right, last bit here, I want to show this slide, which is the program coordinators. Again, find the program that you're in, make sure you're in contact with these individuals. They will be in touch with you as well to set up small group meetings. And you can definitely rely on these folks to be the face and the lead for your particular program while you're here. All right, I want to end with a major welcome to you all. Thank you for investing in FSU, in our program, in this part of your life with us. We take it seriously and want you to have a fantastic time, have a great year. Make sure you talk to me or others about any questions you have. And we'll look forward to having more opportunities to actually meet in person this year. All right, with that said, I say go Noles, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks for your attention.